just for Markdale Kids and Us. So today we are going to be making some yarn birds. These yarn birds, there are 4 different birds that you could be making. There's a bluebird, an eastern bluebird, I should be very specific, eastern bluebird, a Baltimore oriole, black-capped chickadee, or a purple finch. Now, some of the yarns might be look a little different, but these are the 4 different birds. And on your information sheet with the instructions, it'll give you a little bit of a breakdown if you have any questions about which bird you are building. So I'm going to show you how to build a bird. It is very, very simple. So on your piece of cardboard, you're going to see there's going to be a little note that says back, and then there's going to be 2 little C's. Now, when I look at this, there are 2 different colors that are the same length. So this is 12 centimeters long, and there's 1 set of yarns that is 9 centimeters. So the 9 centimeters, that's my wing. So you can see here, wing. And then one of them is going to be the back, and then the other is the belly. So if you have any questions though, back is labeled, so I can see my blue is the back for my eastern bluebird. So one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to look for that little C. That little C is telling me where I can cut, because I need to cut that yarn off. And honestly, whatever edge you cut is okay. It's just those C's are there because that's where those ends of the yarns are going to be, so you don't lose out on one of those. So I'm going to pick one of these, and I'm going to kind of eyeball the center, and we could just fold it in half and kind of tug it like that, and then I'm just going to tie it. And another reason I like the longer strings for this, because I'm going to be able to integrate or use these strings. I don't have to trim them, so I can just tie them off just like a double knot, and there we go. So now I'm just going to set my eastern bluebird wings aside. So on here, it doesn't matter which one you start with, if you want to do the back or the belly, just look for those little C's again. And I'm going to start to do yellow. Actually, I'll do both at once. And I'm just going to hold up here so I don't lose everything. And I'm just going to cut. And I'm going to lay those out. Now, I just need to separate a few of these strings. So I'm going to separate 1 white, 1 blue, and then I have to decide what I want. So one is going to end up here on the neck, and then the other one's on the front of the neck. And then I need a 3rd string that's going to tie everything together to make the bird shape. So for this one, I did use white. I think for today though, I'm going to use blue, just to be different. So I'm going to pull aside another blue. So pretty easy so far. So in front of me, I'm going to lay down the white, so my belly, and then put my back on top. So it kind of looks like a plus sign. So I'm going to grab that underneath layer, the belly, and I'm going to bring those up, and then I'm going to just fold these over and pull a little tight so you can see what it's going to look like. So at this point, it doesn't matter which one you tie, we just need to tie off both of these. So one of those yarns I set aside, I can put it down. And again, bright side with this, we can have those strings stay and be part of the bird, but we want to make it as tight as possible to the belly, the white. So I'm going to tie that tight. And again, just a simple double knot, and then it's right there. Now, you can tie this however you want. It's just when you think about it, because this side is going to be exposed, you don't want to really have your knot sitting over here. So you can either rotate it to the side, so it's going to be hidden, or you can rotate it underneath. So for now, I'm gonna leave it right on the inside, and then I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the white. And so I got that white extra piece, put it down. And just a simple double knot. Maybe not so simple. There we go. Okay, so now there's this slightly goofy looking thing you got over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate the blue back a little bit. And I'm like, I'm not too happy with that. So the best part about this, you haven't cut anything. You can shift everything around until you get that placement that you're going to be happy with. So looking at that, okay, I'm gonna keep shifting it. So what I wanna do is look for that nice face. So it's gonna look weird until the beak is there, but we're just going to kind of shift it until we're happy, keeping an eye on where those knots are. The next thing we need to do is just kind of rest those wings right in there. And because this is trying to be, a eco-friendly craft, we're trying to use all of the packaging. From the packaging for the supplies, you just need to take a bit of a piece of paper and then crunch it up. Because we need to add some beef to the body of the birds. Now, it may not be the right size right off the bat, so you can add, you can take away, totally up to you. But we're just gonna kind of pop it in there and just see how it looks. So I'm happy with the size. It's a good size. And you just want to make sure you're not going to see anything, the paper, once you're settled. But you can shift the yarns around, but I do like that. I just don't like how my knot is showing. So I'm just going to rotate that knot on the belly just a little bit. Perfect. So now that that's okay, I know that the size of my paper is okay. If I wanted to, I could open this up. And if I was giving it to someone, I could make like a little note. They're not gonna see it, but just a little like, happy birthday, or I love you, grandma, something like that. So I'm gonna stick that back in there. I'm gonna flip it over. Kind of smush things down. And then the last piece of yarn that I had left over, I'm going to tie up. Now, it's kind of where that beefy part is for the bird's body. I can squeeze it there. I'm going to kind of just set that yarn down there. And at my fingers, I'm just going to, if you can work with, you have a sibling or an extra set of hands that you could safely use, you can have someone help. But I'm just going to tie that, and again, double knot. And we're almost done. So, of course, I got one of my orange strings kind of tied up there. But everything is really easy to move. You can just straighten it up. And there we go. So if you are happy, that is great. You can move on to the next step. If you're unhappy, you can always either undo or just cut that string off and try again. Because this is your bird. You just need to be happy with what you make. But because I'm happy, I'm going to look at these kind of uneven tail feathers, and I'm going to use my scissors just to kind of trim them down. But again, your bird, you can make it have, I'm gonna make my blues stick out still a little bit. So it's got longer blue tail feathers, but I'm just going to trim that one that I had added. And there we go. So now that we have that step done, there's just a few things left. Now, I have not put any eyes on any of my birds, but in your kit there will be 4 or 2 pairs of black beads that you could include on your birds for eyes. And then there is some orange cardstock to turn into a beak. So they look like little Pac-Mans, but you're gonna just cut these out. And if you are unhappy with the neon orange, you can always use some pencil crayons, some markers, not probably crayons just because they'll get waxy, but you can use some coloring to either make it a darker orange or to black, whatever you are interested in. You could even make it look like a rainbow. So for this one, because I don't want to show the printing marks, I am going to just flip it up like this, and then I'm going to rotate it to make a cone. Now, it depends on what you would like your beak to look like, but all of the birds up here have different kind of shaped beaks along with legs. So with this bluebird one though, the one I had previously, it's a little bit smaller. So I want to do that again. So depending on what size you want to make, you can adjust your little cone template. So I'm just going to kind of mush it. And then once I get happy with the general shape, I'm going to find my white glue. So you can use white glue or you can use a glue stick, whatever you have available. I'm just going to put just a little bit, and you will get a little messy just because, or at least I get a little messy just trying to get it squished. And I just hold it for a little bit until it starts to stay. And if it's not completely even, don't worry, because you can just go back with your scissors and trim it to get it looking how you would like it. So while that is drying, before we add it on, I'm going to add the legs. So in your kit, you will have 2 pieces of copper coated aluminum wire. So to make your birds, the feet, I like to do, it's not completely accurate, but we're gonna give it 3 feet or 3 toes or claws. And then we're not going to do the back claw. If you are incredibly artistic or just really good at bending wire, you can try to add that rear part. But so I'm just gonna kind of loop it to make little feet and then straighten it up. So from there, I'm going to get it to go inside the bird, straight across preferably. And you may need to just tweak your yarn a little bit. There we go, perfect. And then, before I bend any legs, I'm gonna make that other foot. So same thing, just opposite side. 2. 3. Perfect. And then you're gonna kind of bend the legs down, and then it's gonna look like your bird is perched. And because it's wire, you can actually bend it if you want to set it up high, like on a shelf or something. You can just change it to suit. And then now that my beak has dried, I'm just going to add a bit of glue here around the edge, but also on the face to kind of cover up that awkward joining of the yarns. And put the not so nice part down. And there we go. So there is your yarn bird. So you will be making 2 different birds. So again, it'll either be Eastern Bluebird, Baltimore Oriole, Black-capped Chickadee, or the Purple Finch. And these are all birds that are found here in Grey County. Some of them outside my window when I was making this craft. And each of these birds you'll have on your instruction sheet. There is a QR code that you can follow to find some more information about the birds. And I'm also going to include a QR code that if you would like to see an example of one of the birds in our collection here at the museum, you can see it on our YouTube channel as well. So we'll have that you can scan with your device to go see when you're done creating your very own yarn birds. So thank you for joining us today and hope you enjoy making your yarn birds and with your group